Hey guys, Brandon here from Moto Lab. In this video we're going to explain how to check and then adjust your CFD, which is your Cobra friction drive. It is the slipper clutch in this bike that's designed to slip under a high load. A good example is whenever you're wide open in the air, land, the rear tire hits the ground, grabs the dirt, something needs to slip so it doesn't tear up your motor, and this is the unit that does it. It needs a proper adjustment to ensure that it's going to function properly. In this video we are going to be using a couple special tools from Cobra. These are available on our website at motolab.com. We keep them in stock, they're ready to ship out at any time. So the CFD check pin is the one you're going to go through your oil fill hole to lock the gear in place. The gear locking mechanism is the one that will hold the gear once the clutch cover is off. Then your sprocket socket is what's going to go onto your sprocket, your countershaft on the left side of the bike, to check the torque. So the tools you're going to need for this job consist of an 8mm Allen head, a torque wrench, and then a couple of Cobra special tools. First one being the CFD check pin to lock the motor in place. The second one is a sprocket socket to get onto the sprocket to check the torque. A torque wrench, it doesn't need to be an electronic one. They're nice, they're digital, they make it a little bit better so you can see exactly the torque that it's slipping at. But if you just have the manual clicker style, that works perfectly fine as well. Step one, remove your oil filler plug. This is where you put the CFD check pin to lock the motor in place. Move your kickstart out of the way, grab your 8mm Allen. Go ahead and get that out of there. So then this is where you're going to need your CFD check pin. This goes through a hole that's in the gear inside the motor. So if it doesn't fit right up to the threads right away, grab your wheel, give it a little spin, and you'll feel the pin kind of pop into place. Go ahead and screw this in all the way. This is the side that the torque needs to be checked on. There's some people that do it on the nut of the slipper clutch on the other side with the clutch cover off. That's not the proper way to do it. So grab this sprocket socket. Sometimes you need to pull this clip off and the sprocket. This one, actually we don't need to. But if the gear's slipping off of here, then just go ahead and take the sprocket off. That way it can go into your tool all the way. Set your torque wrench at or above 80 foot, and that's where we're going to check to see. So we put it on there. And we feel it slip, we're at 67.5. We can go ahead and check the other direction as well. They do need to be checked. So again, we're at 65. This slipper is a little too loose. We need to go ahead and adjust it, so we're going to show you how to do that. Okay, the next step is to remove your CFD check pin and then drain the oil and get ready to remove your clutch cover. Be careful when you're pulling this cover off. The clutch cover gasket likes to stick on two dowel pins that are on this cover. The dowel pins are these little silver pins here that line up the cover to the engine cases. There should be two of them, one there and one here, so make sure you account for those and don't lose those down in the motor somewhere. Set the clutch cover to the side. The next step is you got to remove this cotter pin. Grab some needle nose or whatever you got around that's going to get this bent out. And the next thing with these cotter pins is don't ever reuse these. As you bend this metal back and forth, it weakens, and if you use it multiple times, you run a risk of the ends breaking off while the motor's running and then sending this metal through your motor and your clutch and everything. So then at this point, you need to grab a 19mm wrench, and then another Cobra special tool here is the gear locking unit. And this is a reverse thread, so we want to tighten this down a little bit to get more torque. So you're going to go to the left on this to tighten it. Usually go 1 to 2 holes. By holes I mean holes in the slots of this gear, and then recheck it. Of course, if you're still below 80, you need to tighten it up a little bit more. If you're at 80 or slightly above, then you're good to go. After you've made your adjustment, you can set the bike up. You can go ahead and leave this tool left in place. That'll serve as your gear locking tool now, instead of your CFD check pin. The purpose of the check pin is it really makes it easier so you don't have to take the clutch cover off to check your CFD. At this point, now that you're in there and you're checking it, you can use this tool to lock it. No need to put the clutch cover back on or anything to bring your torque wrench back over here and check your slip again. Helps if you turn the torque wrench on. So that one there, that slipped right at 80 foot-pounds. So that's the perfect adjustment that we're looking for. I'm going to go the other direction just to check that. Again, we're right at 82 on that one. So I'm going to go ahead and put the safety pin back in. Make sure that your holes are lined up properly. Again, grab a new safety pin. At this point, we've got it adjusted at or slightly above 80 foot-pounds. Make sure that the cotter pin hole is lined up with a slot in the nut. Make sure to grab a brand new cotter pin. Again, never reuse the old ones. And get it bent back around. At this point, I'm going to put the clutch cover back on. I like to wipe any oil residue off the gasket surface, and then also the gasket and the clutch cover itself. Kind of spray everything out if you'd like. If it is really dirty and you have really nasty oil in there, and kind of spray everything and clean it out. Again, make sure your two dowel pins are in place, whether they're in the cover like mine are right now, or sometimes people like to put them in the cases and then set the gasket onto the dowel pins. I like to leave it in the cover like this, but really it's whatever is easiest for you. A lot of times we use a new gasket, but there's times where if it's only got one use on the gasket, it's only been squished down one time, you can reuse them. Obviously you'll know when it's bad because it's either ripped or it's leaking oil out whenever you put the oil and everything back in. Just go ahead and set things on there. Go ahead and tighten your clutch cover bolts down in a crisscross pattern to 87 inch-pounds is what we recommend on the torque. Fill it back up with oil. Of course, we use the Cobra clutch milk as our recommendation at 300 cc's. After that, you should be ready to go.